look at myself and I never get insulted for anything, and I keep getting things.
Yes, you get scarred. As if it's day one. As if day one mamish. Yeah, because you worked on that yet. If you have natured, good nature, nothing bothers you anyway. So it's not a yisur that hits you. But if it's something that does, and you worked on yourself to get to a point, then you earned it yourself.
Well, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know if I'm a good natured guy or I just don't care.
Did it ever?
Worked on yourself tonight.
Yeah, but others care.
Maybe, yeah.
They're always those guys who step at everyone else.
No, you're the
Whatever.
You always have.
Everyone's looking at me,
You always have something to say.
Oh, by the way, his name? Alright.
No, I'm just good with comebacks.
No, so
Be
you
careful.
always do a comeback.
Comebacks also. I gotta tell you, because the Seals Shana says revenge is sweet and it's easy only for the angels.
Easy?
Easy only for angels, revenge, not taking revenge. A guy gives you a line. So you've got this really you know what I'm saying? Which one will you help be? Your ego was hit. So now your ego will be replaced, back to where it was. He gets knocked down, everyone's laughing. Plus it's a win-win for you situation. You know what I'm saying? So and yet you bite your tongue. It's very hard. You should know that when you bite your tongue in a situation like that, the world stands on your merit.
You want the world to stand on yours?
How big is the world anyway?
The world stands on his marriage, we will die.
I can get 60 merit a day,
It's hard not to give a good comeback. It's hard, especially when you have a good line. You don't say it, and you take the insult. It's emotions. It's hard. I'm not saying it's easy. And then since it does hurt, an emotional punch is very painful. Okay, look, you have to work on trying to. Okay, it's an avoda. We said this morning, this afternoon, whatever, earlier. That what does where does it come from? I don't know. We spoke a little bit about this. Where does it come from? The idea of not being affected by an insult. What's the root of that similar thing? No, we spoke about it. The person who's humble won't be affected by it. That's the Chovas Lavavos, where one chassid, one pious person, asked the other one, "Mishtavisa." Said, "Did you equalize? Did you become equal?" So he said, "In what?" He said, "In praise and insult." He said, "No." Then you haven't reached the level of piety. Meaning, if someone praises you or someone insults you, it doesn't have right. It's the same impact. It's impossible, right? That's if you're humble, nothing makes a difference. Humility nothing will affect you. It's obviously a darga.
There's a story you guys remember. I forget who that was on the bottom of a ship and like in the cargo and the thing, and people came down and they urinated on him.
Yeah,
and he was so humble that because he didn't he was happy that he didn't get upset at that. It's like, well, it's like yeah, you urinated on him. Yeah,
the guy is happy with the level that he realized that he got to.
Yeah.
Okay, it's very hard.
Urinated on me.
The story of I think it was with Chaim Volozhin and his brother. It was all those who were Shlomo Zalman, I think. They went somewhere, they stopped at some inn, whatever, and the guy started yelling at them, insulting them, and he knew they were or not, I don't know. And then they were driven out. So as they were leaving, so he saw his brother was upset, hurt, whatever. So he turned to him and he said, "Tell me it doesn't, when he yelled, don't tell me that it hurt you." So he said, "No." He says, "Why are you crying?" So I'm crying because I realized it didn't reach the level of no impact. I'm not crying because of the insult, but I'm crying because I realized I'm not at that level yet. That's what he's crying about. Okay. It's darga to reach, no? But as far over here, we're talking about the issue of giving it. Okay, as a giver.
Something work on, or just something high up there?
I guess each on a level. On a level, to work on would be, let's say if you do get insulted and you control your response. That's probably for us to be listenable. Person says something to you and you bite your tongue, you don't respond, whatever, you accept it. So it's a level we can deal with.
It's true that if someone says something to you and you don't respond, you can give bracha, you give something after that.
That's the stories. All the stories like that. Yeah, you give brachas with power and brachas. Okay, fine. If you wait for Lakecha, in case you give him advice and you think it was good advice, really it wasn't. God knows the truth of it. All right. Okay. Okay, you'll do all my words. And you will dwell securely in the land. You don't have any problem with rain or anything like that. The nasnar is Yivula, Pirya, Vachelton, Sova. Okay, Pasuk Kaf. Keep the Shemitah, you'll be fine. And if you ask the Kasha, God's been warning the Kasha over here. And if you ask the Kasha, what are we going to eat in the 7th year? Now the emes is the kasha is not really the entire 7th year, because the first half of the 7th year you have fruit from last year. Because the stuff that people plant this year now
Last for half.
grows, they harvest it soonish, or it's in the summer, and then by Sukkot you can eat. So it'll cover you until halfway through the next year. Nisan to Nisan, whatever it is, summer to summer, whatever, however it goes. But at some point of that year, you're going to run out of food from so you'll eat the first half or more of the 7th year from last year's crops. As far as wheat goes, like as far as grains. But after that, from the new crops, you have no new crops you can plant. So the pasuk says, if you ask, by the way, vegetables, it's immediate. Vegetables are within a week or two, so that's for sure. So if you ask, what are we going to eat in the 7th year? We're not going to plant, we're not going to gather the crops. I will command my bracha to you in the 6th year, and will make enough produce for 3 years. 3 years meaning the end of the 7th. No, the 6th year will supply you with end of the 6th, the entire 7th, first half of the 8th.
It's not 3.
It is 3.
It's 3. It's 2 years day to day and 3 parts of a year.
Yeah.
Okay, now. Okay, that's it. Fine. That'll be that's how it's gonna work. So now you have a few things here. One thing I think we spoke about this at one point in the past.
Alright, farmers who don't care about Shavuos.
Okay, I'm gonna get there. Hold on. I'm gonna get there.
What is this Karen Ashvi?
I'm gonna get there. Hold on. Wait. Let me first. One at a time. First of all, one of the reasons that we said for Shemitah is to trust in God. Trust in God means God's like, don't plant. Like, oh, God, I don't plan how I'm going to eat. So God's like, trust me. That's so easy. You know what I'm saying? So that's a test of bitachon. I'm going to listen to God and say, even though with my eyes it seems to me I'm going to be starving, but God said, trust me, so I'll trust Him and do what is suicidal. Or will I say, God, I believe you, I trust you, but in the synagogue, and now I'm in the field, and shark infested waters, in the business world, you know what I'm saying? I got to do what I got to do. Fine. That's the question over here. Now, I think we asked a question in the past. If you tell me you're going to get your bracha in the 6th year, so then, what's the kasha? If you get a double bracha in the 6th year,
If I don't see it, I'm worried about.
oh, so the shot is the kasha. If you don't get double bracha in the 6th year, so what's the test of bitachon? I see it myself. So the answer is, he's saying you don't see it. So you're gonna harvest 1 year's, what seems to be 1 year's worth of crops, stand like every other year. But miraculously, it will last you 2 years. Either you won't be so hungry, eating a small amount will satisfy you. Somehow I don't know how God works His miracles out, I don't know. But it'll last 2 years, even though you don't see it. I have to say that. Now, what about nowadays?
You could just take surveys and realize that it's the other way around, or something.
No, so the emphasis is what will happen is let's say you see it happen. So now it's the 7th year, 8th year, plenty of food. 13 year, random, 13, 14 year, y'all talk about, remember a few years ago, Shemitah, yeah, that was so cool how that went, you know what I mean? But, buddy, remember you experience it, comes next Shemitah cycle.
You're going to rely on that, you're going to see it again, and then...
So now what? Is there any sign for your second Shemitah cycle?
No.
Yeah, because you already know what's real. I mean, not real, but
It's less.
So there's other times.
Of course, it's less of any sign, because I had it last time.
What about if you
What
kept
happened this time? Wait, one second, yeah? What?
If like 2 Shmitas ago, I kept Shemitah with the full bitachon. Before the 7th year came around, like everything was full. It's like the thing, like you worked on your midas and you didn't. Do you get schar like as if like the first time you kept Shemitah and it was hard?
Yeah, the example I gave you was not talking about that.
So I'm asking, is that a
We're supposed to says anything you work on. I use it for chakras, for example. Beginning getting chakras hard, and then if you get used to it, you get used to it. You get up to normal, standard. You know what I'm saying? You get schar as if it's day one. So it's everything.
So it counts as bitachon if you're scared the whole time while you're doing it?
It's a darga. If you're doing it, God, I hope you know what you're doing. So, but you're doing it, so it's not ideal, but it's. So now what happens nowadays? Oh, sorry, I went first. So you tell what happened in the second Shemitah cycle. So you might think it's less of a test because I had it already, experienced it.
Yeah,
But
as
still
long as you're somewhat satisfied, like you get what you need, then it's always going to be somewhat of a less test to be tough on.
Right, so I'm saying 7 year, 14, 21. I've been through 7 Shemitah cycles. I'm an old man, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Every year was the same thing. So now what's a big sign? I've seen it happen every other year.
It's enough time between 7 years for you to forget about it.
So
Like,
could be. You're not gonna forget about mamish.
Yeah, no, I'm saying like enough to where it's.
Could be. It'll be. Why is it still silent? Yeah.
That's some sign.
Why is that? Why is it still Messiah when I saw it happen the past three cycles? So I know it happened again now.
Are there conditions?
Well, if you saw the Shemitah worked, you got a bracha in the 6th year, past 3 times. Now it comes the next Shemitah cycle, right? It's my 4th time already. I'm a farmer for 60 years, whatever. So I know it's going to happen. I'm saying the Chor of the Messiah is less.
Maybe
So,
not. Maybe you
why
should
not?
have the same. You should have the same tachon that's going to happen again.
I know, but practically, the Messiah seems to be less. I experienced it. I saw it works.
Right. Okay. Oh, it's happened 6 times in a row. It's going to happen 7.
Right?
Yeah.
So the Messiah is less. So it could be in a maybe there's a little less. I don't think it would never be gone because, like you're saying, you work with nature every other time, so it might still be bothering you. But sure. Well, the other thing is, you might think maybe that last year was different because this year I did Averas, other things. Not the same this year as was last year. This last year I was worthy of it. This year maybe I'm not as worthy of it. Maybe some question like that. The person might be more in doubt. You know, it's good, even though if you keep it, you keep it. You'll get it anyway. Whether you're worthy. Not sure. I don't know. Now what happens nowadays? So there's 3 answers I think for nowadays stuff. Do we get the second bracha or not? This year, remember, 6th year. When they harvest now, what are they digging up over here? What do they come up with? They get double, they don't get double.
You don't see it.
So do we get bracha nowadays or not? So there's three ways of dealing with this. One way is that the bracha is given to whom?
Farmers.
To Klal Yisrael. So if Klal Yisrael, it's not a bracha. Like you can do mitzvahs to get rain. You don't do areas, you're not going to get rain, right? So you say Krishma, right? So does that mean, well, I'm a tzai to mitzvahs. This guy is a rush, doesn't do mitzvahs. So when the rain comes, the cloud comes over my field, thunderstorms, and his is nice and hot and dry.
But
Not like
it is
that.
like that.
It's not like that. It's a din on the cloud. If Klal Yisrael is worthy, Klal Yisrael gets rain and gets whatever.
You know the stories about the people who kept Shemitah like for the first time?
Oh, wait a second. I'm saying overall, there's gullus. These are dinim on the cloud. So therefore, one could say that there's no miracles nowadays in the 6th year because, unfortunately, which will be in the future, maybe this year also, but unfortunately, not every time do the mass of farmers. A lot of them aren't from. And then always keep Shemitah. So Melech, you do, but the cloud doesn't. So number one, you might not get the bracha because of that. That's one thing. Another thing is that Shemitah nowadays is the Raisa D'Rabbanan. Again, my next cycle I think will be different. Nowadays they're D'Rabbanan. Why is Shemitah D'Rabbanan nowadays? Because no Yofel. Again, I think my next cycle already maybe it'll be different. 2 cycles, I think it'll be different. Right now it's only D'Rabbanan.
Why 2 cycles are different?
Because I think we'll have at least Safek Yofel again. Midaraisa. When you get Safek D'Raisa, you're getting into all kinds of issues.
Or Mashiach comes, you can have what?
Mashiach also. But I'm saying once you have a majority of Jews, yesterday we spoke about this. We're right now holding by about half of the world's Jews on Israel. Barely half. Within 7 years, 14 years, it's coming, it's a matter of time, I think. It's a matter of time, question of when. Okay, fine. Right now it's only D'Rabbanan. So it could be that the bracha is only for D'Raisa Shemitah. The only D'Rabbanan Shemitah is no bracha. A third thing is, that like you're saying, that it could be every Shemitah cycle, there are stories that come out during or after the Shemitah cycle. Every single time. There are stories that come out about this guy and that guy, especially the ones that newly took it on.
What's this thing with Karen Ashri? Is like you support the farmers? What does that mean?
Yeah. Because they have as an organization, they do a few things. One thing is that they try to get people to keep Shemitah. So they go to all the farmers, they try to mechazik them to get Shemitah. Some don't listen, some do listen, fine. But the ones that do, they try to mechazik them and help them. Now, for the farmers not to keep Shemitah, so there's a lot of expenses that they have. First of all, a lot of time, all the equipment that they have is not owned equipment, it's leased. So normally they make a profit in a year and they give off that lease under the land almost. It's like I owe the bank money, it's like a mortgage. Yeah. So I got to pay off those monthly bills even though I'm not making any money. So it's not all the correction of I'm not making money. It's, I guess the wheat, I'm saying there's like side things. There's other things also. There's all kinds of other expenses that they have because they're not using their equipment. But besides, I guess, stam living also. So they have a thing where they try to raise funds so that all the farmers will be able to have some level of parnasa or help with the bank loans and things like that, even though they're not working. Which again is mechazik the ones who aren't, like the ones a lot of them aren't so from or aren't from when they start doing it. There was a guy, one story I read not long ago, of a guy who did peppers. So he does peppers in Israel and he exports peppers. You got the story? I told you the story?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear it. Fine,
like Argentina had
like
a crazy loss of peppers.
Oh yeah, we heard this.
Where was it? Spain.
Yeah, he said it was really good.
Every year they started the banana trees.
What's the interesting?
Or the prune, which one was pruned? Which was pruned? Every year there come one or two, every single year comes every two, like cycles, comes on one or two new stories that happen this year. So it's a matter of time.
I
Get new stories that come out.
The guys telling it out.
No, I don't think they're made up. They tell you all the information, have pictures of it. Saying it's not. You can just go check. I can't imagine it's true. Okay. But the might say, yeah, you have those who keep. Those who don't keep. They have the Mechir spoke about. Okay, fine. Okay. This is, by the way, also one of the things, maybe debatable, one of the things that a person, that they could do a raya, perhaps, I'm not sure who does it, to where the Torah was not written by men, because it's not so possible for a person to say a line like this. Like if a person wrote this, you're not going to say, don't harvest for a year, every 7 years, which, again, without God is suicidal, and then answer, and if you ask what, don't worry, I'll take care of it, I'll give you double. If it's a person, it's not happening. So
but then you talk about the fact that you don't actually see it. So
but it has to work. I can't make it work either.
But someone who doesn't believe is going to say, yeah, it doesn't actually work, and you don't actually see it. It's just like it's part of the illusion.
Yeah, but why would you
guarantee? Just two things. One thing is, who would write this? You're setting yourself up for failure.
Some kind of whoever runs the.
No, but I'm saying, why would you put this in if you know you can't follow through? Well, the first thing the sun comes out, right? It didn't work. So now it's the 8th year and there's no food.
Oh, there's no food at all?
Well, nothing grew, it didn't plant. If it's written by man, it's not true, right? So there's no extras in the 6th year. So now it's the 8th year and there's nothing there. It's my goose fire.
And then so you gotta start the next year, and then the 10th year you find out.
So now, even if you tell me that people survived it,
There's a camera,
next
bro.
cycle,
Why are you looking at it like
next cycle is the same story. I mean, how many cycles is it going to take until you guys? This is ridiculous. People are dying from famine every 7 years.
That's
Okay,
true.
fine, say it. Okay, now there's another thing here which has to do a lot of
People
cycles.
just argue that, like, oh look, it's not accepted upon us anymore, you know?
What's no.
Like, you know how you're like, why would this be true? So like, someone would probably could have actually done that. Because in the first 10 years, it probably would be.
All right. Now the next we'll say it outside. I'm not going to read inside. The next bunch of laws have to do with real estate. Laws of real estate. These laws do not apply today. These laws will apply again, I think, by the next Shemitah cycle or the one after that, whatever.
Chris, you won't be able to have real estate in the whole Shemitah?
There'll be a lot of interesting laws that come up. The laws are broken up into 1, 2, 3 levels, 3 different types of things. There's fields. What's the law of selling a field during when Yovel applies? Doesn't mean it's Yovel year. It means during Yovel we're counting. Today's the 4th year, the 5th year, the 6th year till Yovel. Once we're counting, all these laws apply.
You have to sell it in knowing that
That you're gonna get
So I sell you a land.
sell for the price that you know you're like.
For 2 years, it's yours. After 2 years, I have the right to demand for the resale. Number 1.
Of the
Number
original
2,
price.
what?
Of the
Oh, no. Number 2 is that if I don't demand a resale and I sold it to you, so then
It's yours.
until
Yovel.
Yovel coming back to me anyway. So if my land could produce $1,000 of crops a year, so if it's 47 years till next Shemitah cycle, I'll sell it $47,000. And if it's 20 years next Shemitah cycle, next Yovel, I'll sell it $20,000. Meaning based on how far away from Yovel, because it's a lease. There's no such thing as selling land. There's only leasing land, period. So you can lease. A lease you can do.
So who owns this land now? Why do I own this? Why does he get to own it now? Like maybe the guy before him leased it.
Yeah, maybe before.
Who owns anything now?
Now isn't today? Now isn't applying. There's no Yovel today.
No,
Okay, so the next level, whoever buys now is going to own it for the next year. It's not for Besheva. It's not. How do you get it?
You're asking how do you start square? How do you go back to square one?
Yeah.
So the initial square one was when Yeshua ben Nun conquered the land and they all got a piece. Shvatim. What's going to happen this time? I don't know.
It goes back to the owners.
Could be the Shvatim are going to come back, but that's going to be after. But that might be in other words, Jews in Israel.
It's going to be different because it's like strips.
Majority of Jews in Israel, that they will have soon. It could be Mashiach might not be here by then. Chas v'shalom. So then, knowing Shvatim, you're not going to have still. So what's going to happen? I don't know. Mashiach comes, all the Shvatim will figure it
What
out.
if a guy owns property? How does it work over there?
You have to buy it off him.
But it's even buy it's not yours.
Probably again if it's you're probably well again. So I'm not going to go to nowadays when Yovel starts up because I don't know how it's going to work. Someone's going to set aside. Let's pretend we know where the lands are. So if I own the land BMF, which was my father's father, came to the country of Yeshua ben Nun, and this is my land that I got from the girl.
We don't know that today.
So I say how it's going to work today when it comes. I don't know.
That's
So
really
now,
awesome.
now I sell you the land. It's not a sale. It's a lease until next Yovel. How much are you going to buy for it? Depends on how many years left. Either way, after 2 years, I could demand the resale. So if I sold you for Yovel $20,000, 5 years later, I come back and I say, I want the land back. And he says, whoa, that's mine. I have a contract till Yovel. So, so much a contract. And I was like, the contract is worthless. You have 2 years of yours, and then I can demand you to sell it back. So I'll give you $15,000, you sell it back to me. I can demand that sale. That goes for land. Now, what about a house? So again, the first 2 years you cannot buy back. After that, you could buy back till Yovel. Okay. What about a house in a walled city from Yeshua Nun's time? In other words, you own an apartment in the old city.
It's all good.
I like clarity in halacha and complex issues. Yes. What?
There's no lease, it's fine.
So there it's the opposite. I sell you my apartment in the old city. I have up until a year to demand a resale. If I don't buy it back within the year, it is for now on forever yours.
What about a place
the opposite
that's
way.
a walled city from Yeshua?
Fuck, I don't know.
Like
So I guess
very
we'll cut this figures. I don't know. So it's the opposite way. Within the first year, I could buy it back. After that, I can't. Now, what about a house in Beit Shemesh, which is not walled, assuming? I don't know. I don't see Megillah until it's well. Now this new Gimel thing came out. I don't know. Whatever. Let's say it's not walled. So what about a house in Beit Shemesh? So that has kulas in both ways. I could buy it back within 2 years, and I can also buy it back
I'll
after.
let it build.
And Yovel goes back to me.
Why can't you build a mansion?
I'll let it build on land, it's not.
That's across the country like
That's
that.
fine.
That's across the country. Why do you think it's yours anyway? There he is, Dafka. He's asking a question. I'll bring it up because the question's also
Because
interesting.
he thinks it's Shiva on the land.
No, I'm a Levi, man.
Okay, Shemesh not yours anyway.
I'm knowing.
But his question was, he asked a question yesterday, or not yesterday, whatever, beginning of the week.
10%.
How could we be Yotzei? How could we be Yotzei nowadays with Lulav and Esrog?
With what?
Lulav and Esrog. I buy a Lulav and Esrog in Israel.
Yeah.
I spoke this out over here? I forgot.
Yesterday you said you mentioned
Oh, I
the.
mentioned it. I thought I'll find out what it said.
Wait, say it again.
I buy a lulav and esrog in Israel. I'm not Yotzei. Why? Because the person who sold it to me was probably not his. Why? Because it belongs to the Shvat, who are the Shvat Amar. So it's stolen goods. Stolen goods, or at least even if borrowed goods, it's not. I'm not Yotzei. You can't be Yotzei with a borrowed lulav and esrog the first time.
Steal it from the vendor, because they're going to like a pattern, no?
That's because
I
that's
like.
of returning. Pattern from Keichel. It doesn't help you being Yotzei in the mitzvah. It's not your stuff.
You can try that.
But we're allowed to eat the stolen apples?
Eating is less of a problem.
There still is. Doesn't that mean everyone should rely on like a thing to get
Borrowing? I don't know. Question: How am I Yotzei with Esrogim? There was a case in Bnei Brak. I told you this already. In Bnei Brak of a guy who there was some guy who was in front of the shows. They sell all this stuff all the time. So you go to the shows, right places. You'll have like stuff there cheap. So someone was selling. Some guy came with boxes of oil for Hanukkah, Hanukkah, and he said it's subsidized. It's very cheap. So everyone's buying it up. Subsidized oil is half price or something. They didn't get it anywhere else. So they were selling out. Remember, everything going great until
There's always that one.
some guy's yelling, "Those are my stuff!" He comes running. So, well, you your stuff. He has a store across town. Somebody stole boxes of the stuff, and he knew and he went out and showed the shul. Until he found it. These are his. I know it's his. He says he has the numbers on his whatever thing, and the match numbers on the boxes. It's all his stuff. You put down my oil. I was like, so people are. So now the stuff that's there still is there still. The guy himself, they go to the guy who was selling the stuff, and they wait. You know what? So he said, "I'll tell you, I bought it from somebody else. And a cheap thing. He told was subsidized. So he wasn't on purpose. He was foolish. He bought it from a thief who thought it was subsidized. So this guy wasn't a thief himself. He wasn't so smart. But that's the mitzvah. So now it comes out. What's the halachic problem that comes up now?
Who was the Yotzei for
Everyone, all those who bought their oil, went home and are planning to light tonight Hanukkah with stolen oil. Make a bracha, not Yotzei. Those are stolen oil.
But for them it's not so.
The guy said, "I'm not mochel. I want my stuff back. Pay full price. You can keep it." It says, "Ripper, he's losing money." So you may have to get one of these cars with loudspeakers, going around, driving around the streets.
Flying Mel's oil. Stolen.
So the answer to that is the same answer as Yisrogim. Why are we Yotzei for Yisrogim?
What's the answer?
Whatever the answer is.
Honest. Honest.
Ask him. But honest doesn't help you for stolen goods.
What's overall, yeah.
Okay, wait, that's what again. You have real estate laws in land, real estate laws in houses in a walled city, houses outside of a walled city. One more thing, and again, a house outside the walled city and land comes back to you during Yovel. One more thing, another short thing is, if you are makdish to hekdesh, your land, if you makdish it, someone else buys it out. In Yovel, it goes to the Kohanim, whose turn it is when Yovel hits. It won't be yours. You're like in Cheshvan or something. You're not in the. It comes from Kippur. The Yom Kippur of Yovel, whoever's Kohanim is that week, are very lucky people because they get all that. You get all that stuff. That's if I donate my land, makdish my land, and it goes to someone buys it, was podeh, redeems it off hekdesh, then at Yovel it goes back to that person. If I sell my land. So even if you sell it over a bunch of people, but it's all a lease, eventually Yovel comes back to me. If I sell to you and you're makdish it, so you're not makdish a sdeh chuzah, you're not makdish a field that I inherited, you're makdish a sdeh mikneh, a field that you bought. So now what happens in Yovel?
It goes back to the original.
It goes back to the original because you only own it until Yovel.
Yeah.
So it's hektish until it comes back to me at the end. But if you want to, if there is a way of disposing, whatever, getting rid of the land, that if I makdish my land to hektish, and someone else buys it out, then in Yovel it goes to the Kohanim, and then it's theirs forever. One more last thing: Levim and Kohanim, with their special cities that they have, they could redeem always, sell always, and redeem always. There's all these laws do not apply. There's not. It's just that those guys. It's nothing apply. The rules do not apply to the walled cities of Levim. So whatever the price, I guess prices will have to match. There it is. Okay, not you. I told you, Megan Jewish. All right. Tomorrow. Wait. Tomorrow, Sunday, we'll finish up Behar, and then we'll get into Behar2.